Dubai was once the ultimate travel dream, a city of gold, glass and ambition, a skyline that looked like it belonged to the future. For years, it wasn't just a destination, it was a statement. A place people visited just to say, I made it. It turned travel into status. But in March 2026, something changed. A drone struck one of the busiest airports in the world. Then another and another. Suddenly, a city that moved over 90 million passengers a year faced a simple question. Where does the world go when Dubai stops? Kindly subscribe, don't just watch. The answer caught many off guard. Because while flights were being cancelled, while major airlines like British Airways, Lufthansa and KLM quietly suspended routes, another country thousands of miles away was breaking records, Malaysia. In the same month Dubai faced disruption, Malaysia welcomed nearly 2.8 million visitors in just 26 days. Not by accident, but because the world was already shifting. Dubai's illusion of stability. To understand this shift, you have to understand what Dubai represented. It wasn't just a city, it was proof. Proof that a desert could become the center of the world. Proof that ambition could reshape geography. At the heart of it all was Dubai International Airport, the busiest international airport on earth. A global crossroads, until it wasn't. After rising geopolitical tensions and the US-Israel strikes on Iran 2026, the region's stability was shaken. Airports were no longer just infrastructure, they became targets. Flights stopped, airlines pulled out, confidence dropped, and just like that, Dubai lost something far more valuable than traffic. The feeling of being untouchable. When tourists don't cancel, they redirect. Here's what most people misunderstand about travel. Tourists don't stop moving, they adapt. When one destination feels uncertain, they simply choose another. And in 2026, that other place was Malaysia, already prepared, already stable, already welcoming, with no disruptions, no shutdowns, no uncertainty, just open doors. Why Malaysia feels different. Once travelers arrive, something interesting happens. They stop comparing, because Malaysia doesn't try to be Dubai. It offers something entirely different. First, luxury, that makes sense. In Kuala Lumpur, you'll find rooftop pools, skyline views and 5-star hotels. But here, luxury doesn't feel distant. It feels accessible. The same experience without the inflated price tag. Second, the food. Dubai has global cuisine. Malaysia has identity. From nasi lemak in the early morning to char kway teow in Penang to fresh roti canai made right in front of you. This isn't just eating. It's culture you can taste, third nature you can manufacture. Dubai built islands shaped like palm trees. Malaysia didn't need to. It already had rainforests older than civilization, islands that look untouched, and islands where the air changes completely. Places like Petronas Towers remind you you're in a modern city, but just hours away it feels like another world entirely. Fourth, effortless safety. No headlines, no disruptions, no explanations needed. Just consistency. Fifth, infrastructure that surprises people. From Kuala Lumpur International Airport to modern rail systems and connected highways, travel here feels smooth, predictable, easy. The bigger picture. This isn't just about Dubai or Malaysia. It's about change. The world is rebalancing. For decades, the Gulf symbolized ambition. Now, Southeast Asia is becoming the smarter choice, not a backup plan. A first option, and within that shift, Malaysia sits quietly at the center. Niche cultural, accessible, modern, affordable. For years, it stayed under the radar. But 2026 might be the year that changes. And once people arrive, they begin to notice something unexpected. It's not just what Malaysia has, it's how it feels. There's no pressure to impress, no constant reminder of status or wealth. Instead, there's a quiet confidence, a rhythm, a sense that this place wasn't built overnight to prove a point, but grew into itself over time. Walk through the streets of Kuala Lumpur, and you'll see it immediately. Glass towers standing beside old shop houses, luxury malls connected to local markets, different cultures, not separated but woven together. Malay, Chinese, Indian, not as a showcase, but as everyday life. And that changes the experience. Because travel stops feeling like performance and starts feeling real. In Dubai, everything is designed to impress you. In Malaysia, things don't try. They just are. Sit down at a roadside stall, no reservations, no dress code, just a plastic chair, a hot plate, and a meal that tastes like it's been perfected over generations. You don't just eat, you slow down, take a drive out of the city. Within hours, the skyline fades, and suddenly you're surrounded by green, dense rainforest, mist-covered hills, roads that lead somewhere quieter. Places like Cameron Highlands, where time feels softer, or Langkawi, where the ocean stretches endlessly. And this is where Malaysia does something powerful. It gives you contrast, modern life when you want it, escape when you need it, without forcing you to choose. But maybe the biggest difference is the people. There's a warmth here that doesn't feel rehearsed. It's not part of a tourism campaign. It's not scripted hospitality. It's natural. Simple things, a conversation with a stranger, a smile that lingers a little longer, someone going out of their way to help without expecting anything in return. And for travelers used to fast transactional cities, that stands out. Because in the end, people don't remember buildings. They remember how a place made them feel. This is why many who come to Malaysia don't just visit once. They come back again and again. Some even start asking a different question. Not when do I leave, but what will it take to stay? And that's something no marketing campaign can manufacture. That's not branding, that's connection. So while the world watches headlines, while airlines redraw routes, while traditional hubs try to recover, Malaysia keeps doing what it has always done. Welcoming, feeding, balancing modern life with something deeper. Not louder, not flashier, just better aligned with what people are starting to value. And maybe that's the real shift happening here. Not just in travel, but in priorities. Because the future of tourism might not belong to the place that looks the most expensive, but to the place that feels the most human. But this story is no longer just about one country rising. It's about a world rearranging itself. For decades, global travel followed a pattern. Major hubs controlled the flow. A handful of cities decided how the world moved. Places like Dubai became gateways, not just destinations. You didn't just visit them, you passed through them. And that gave them power. The power to shape routes, to influence choices, to define what global travel looked like. But systems like that rely on one thing above all else. Stability. The moment that stability cracks, the system doesn't bend. It shifts. Airlines reroute, insurance premiums rise, travel advisories change tone. And suddenly, millions of small decisions made by ordinary people start pointing in a different direction. That's what 2026 revealed. Not a collapse, but a redistribution. Because while attention was fixed on disruption, something quieter was happening elsewhere. Countries that had spent years improving infrastructure, strengthening tourism, building trust, were no longer alternatives. They were ready, and in Southeast Asia, one country stood perfectly positioned. Malaysia. Not because it reacted quickly, but because it had already done the work. Look at the numbers again. Millions of visitors arriving not out of curiosity alone, but out of confidence. Confidence that their trip would go as planned, that their experience wouldn't be interrupted, that what they saw online would match what they felt on the ground. That kind of trust takes years to build and seconds to lose. This is where the difference becomes clear. Some destinations rely on spectacle. Others rely on consistency. Spectacle attracts attention. Consistency keeps it. And as travelers become more experienced, more informed, more intentional, they start choosing differently. They begin to ask better questions. Not just, where looks impressive, but where feels worth it. And that question changes everything. Because now, value matters more than image. Experience matters more than appearance. And authenticity becomes the deciding factor. This is where Malaysia quietly pulls ahead. It doesn't overwhelm you. It doesn't try to dominate your attention. Instead, it unfolds. Day by day, meal by meal, conversation by conversation, until you realize something subtle but important. You're not rushing anymore. You're not checking boxes. You're not trying to prove anything. You're just there, and in a world that's constantly accelerating, that feeling is rare. That feeling is powerful, and that's why the shift isn't temporary. Because once travelers experience a place that gives them more than photos, more than status, more than surface level luxury, it resets their expectations. They don't just change destinations, they change standards. So even if places like Dubai recover or rebuild and regain their position, something will be different. The traveler will be different. More aware, more selective, less impressed by noise, more drawn to substance. And in that world, Malaysia doesn't need to compete. It simply needs to remain what it already is. A place that delivers more than it promises. A place that doesn't try to be the center of attention, but somehow becomes it anyway. And as 2026 continues to unfold, one thing is becoming clearer with every passing month. This isn't just a moment. It's a turning point.